Hash, can you take me to mommy? The rain drummed softly against the windows of the penthouse apartment as Marcus Sullivan stood in his home office, watching the city lights blur through the water-streaked glass. At 42, he had built an empire from nothing, transforming a small tech startup into a billion-dollar corporation. Yet tonight, like so many others, the silence in his luxurious apartment felt heavier than any boardroom pressure he had ever faced. Marcus had chosen this building specifically for its privacy. The top floor offered him complete solitude, with only one other apartment sharing the elevator access. His neighbor was a mystery to him. He had glimpsed a woman with dark hair a few times, always hurrying past with grocery bags or work files. They had never spoken, maintaining the unspoken rule of urban anonymity that suited Marcus perfectly. The sound of small footsteps in the hallway broke through his thoughts. Marcus frowned, glancing at his watch. It was nearly 9 o'clock on a Tuesday evening. The building was usually silent by now, its residents settled into their evening routines. A soft knock echoed through his apartment, tentative, barely audible above the rain. Marcus hesitated. He rarely received visitors, and never unannounced ones. His assistant handled his calendar with military precision, and his few personal acquaintances knew better than to drop by without warning. The knocking came again, more persistent this time, accompanied by a small voice that made Marcus's breath catch in his throat. "Excuse me, is someone there?" Marcus opened the door to find a little girl standing in the hallway, clutching a stuffed rabbit to her chest. She couldn't have been more than 6 years old, with curly brown hair that fell past her shoulders and large, worried eyes that reminded him of melted chocolate. She wore pink pajamas with cartoon stars, and her bare feet shifted nervously on the cold marble floor. "Hello," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Can you take me to mommy?" Marcus stared down at her, his mind struggling to process the situation. Children were foreign territory for him. His life had been consumed by quarterly reports and market analyses, leaving no room for the complexities of family life. Where is your mommy?" he asked, his voice gentler than he had expected. The little girl pointed toward the other apartment. "She's in there, but she won't wake up. I tried shaking her, but she just keeps sleeping. I'm scared." A chill ran down Marcus's spine that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. He crouched down to the girl's eye level, his expensive suit wrinkling without concern. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Emma," she replied, hugging her rabbit tighter. "And this is Mr. Hopscotch. He's brave, but I'm not feeling very brave right now." "Well, Emma, I'm Marcus. And I think both you and Mr. Hopscotch are very brave. Can you show me where your mommy is?" Emma nodded and took his large hand in her small one, leading him across the hallway to the other apartment. The door stood slightly ajar, and Marcus could see the warm glow of table lamps inside. The contrast between the cozy, lived-in space and his sterile penthouse was immediate and striking. They found Emma's mother, Sarah, collapsed on the living room couch, her breathing shallow and her skin pale and clammy. Marcus immediately checked for a pulse, steady but weak, and noticed the prescription bottle that had fallen to the floor beside her. His business instincts kicked in, and he quickly assessed the situation while reaching for his phone. "Emma, can you go get your shoes and a jacket while I call for help?" he asked, keeping his voice calm and reassuring. As the paramedics worked on Sarah, Marcus found himself holding Emma close, her small frame trembling against his chest. She had been remarkably composed throughout the ordeal, answering the paramedics' questions about her mother's medications with a maturity that broke his heart. "Is mommy going to be okay?" Emma asked as they watched the ambulance disappear into the rainy night. "The doctors are going to take very good care of her," Marcus replied, surprised by how naturally the protective words came to him. "But you can't stay here alone tonight. Do you have any family I can call?" Emma shook her head. "It's just me and mommy. We moved here from Oregon after Daddy went to heaven. Mommy said we needed a fresh start." Marcus felt something shift inside his chest, a warmth he hadn't experienced in years. Without hesitation, he made a decision that would have seemed impossible just hours earlier. "Would you like to stay with me tonight? I have a guest room, and we can visit your mommy first thing in the morning." Emma looked up at him with those trusting brown eyes and nodded. "Can Mr. Hopscotch come too?" "Of course he can." The next few hours transformed Marcus's sterile apartment into something warmer. Emma helped him make hot chocolate, chattering about her favorite books and her plans to become a veterinarian when she grew up. Marcus found himself genuinely laughing for the first time in months as she told him elaborate stories about Mr. Hopscotch's adventures. When he tucked Emma into the guest bed, she looked up at him with sleepy eyes and whispered, "Thank you for helping me find Mommy. Even though she was sleeping, you made sure she got better. You were very brave tonight, Emma. Your mommy is lucky to have such a smart, caring daughter. Will you still be here when I wake up?" Marcus smoothed her curly hair away from her face, a gesture that felt surprisingly natural. "I'll be right here, I promise." 3 days later, Marcus sat in the hospital waiting room as Emma ran into her mother's arms. Sarah had recovered fully from her medication reaction, and the color had returned to her cheeks. When she looked at Marcus over her daughter's head, her eyes were bright with tears. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "Emma told me everything you did. You saved my life." Marcus shook his head. "Emma saved both of us, actually. She reminded me what really matters." As they walked back to their building together, Emma's hand tucked securely in his, Marcus realized that his definition of success had fundamentally changed. The quarterly reports waiting on his desk no longer seemed urgent. Instead, he found himself thinking about bedtime stories and hot chocolate, about the sound of laughter echoing through his too-quiet apartment. "Marcus," Emma said, tugging on his hand, "will you come have dinner with us tomorrow? Mommy makes the best spaghetti, and Mr. Hopscotch gets really lonely when we eat alone." Marcus looked down at the little girl who had wandered into his life and opened doors in his heart he hadn't known existed. For the first time in years, he felt truly rich. "I would love that, Emma. I would love that very much."